All right, welcome to the first video for the week of April 20th. If this is your first time, we missed you. Welcome, do your work. If it's not, keep doing the good work. Keep turning your stuff in. And like always, you can ask me questions on Remind or Google Classroom. I do want to take this time too to remind you that I do have tutorials Monday through Friday. I have them at 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. They're on Google Meets. Whenever I go live, I put the link at the top of the Google Classroom so you don't have to search for it. You just click on that, it'll take you where you need to go. You can join and ask a question if you have a question over any assignments, or if you just need help or want me to explain the lecture videos to you, you can do that as well. All right, so for the formulas of pyramids, we do have two again. You have your lateral, which remember, that's the area excluding the base. And then we have our total, which we then go in and add the base into it. So for lateral, you have 1/2 L times P, or L times P divided by 2. So in this formula, that L, that actually stands for the slant height. So that is your slant height. So remember, it's not just height right now. And then that P that you have in the formula as well, that stands for perimeter, but this is the perimeter of the base. So in that alternate formula I gave you, the LP divided by 2, L and P still stand for the same thing. The reason I gave you two formulas is just whichever one you prefer to use. So then for your second formula, your total surface area, remember that first part of the formula, which you have two again, that is that lateral area. So if you've already found it, you can just plug it in there. And then this B that we have here is a capital B, and what that stands for is the area of the base. So remember again, if you want to use the first one with the 1/2 or the second one where you divide by 2, it doesn't matter. They'll both get you the same answer. It's just whichever one you prefer. All right, so example 1, I ask you to find the lateral area and total surface area of a regular square pyramid with a base edge length of 14 centimeters and a slant height of 25 centimeters. And I ask you to round to 2 decimal places if it's needed. You do have two options when you do both areas. The first option is you can do two formulas. So you can do the lateral area formula and then the total surface area formula, or the second way is to use one formula, and we would use the total formula because remember, the lateral is already built into that formula. So just to save a little bit of time, I'm going to go ahead and use the total formula. And remember, that is 1/2 LP plus the area of the base. But I'm going to do the slant height times the perimeter of the base divided by 2 plus the area of the base. The only thing I'm directly given in the problem is the slant height. It says the slant height is 25. So I know my L is equal to 25. But I'm told it's a regular square pyramid. So when I look at the base, remember, they are named from their base shapes. I know it's a square, and I know the length of one of the sides or the edges of the square is 14. And since squares all have the same side length, all 4 sides are 14. So for this formula, I need two things. I still need the P, which is the perimeter of the base, and then I need the capital B, which is the area of the base. So I'm first going to look at P, the perimeter. Remember, this is a regular shape, so I can take the side length and multiply it by the number of sides, which is 4. So when I do this, I have 14, which is our side length, times 4, the number of sides. 14 times 4 ends up giving you 56. So I know the perimeter of my base is 56. And the last thing I need to find for this total surface area to find both areas is the capital B, which is the area of the base. This is a square or a parallelogram or a rectangle. Remember, that area is length times width. So here, since it is a square, both my length and my width are 14. So I'm going to end up doing 14 times 14. When I plug that in, I end up with 196. And so I now have everything I need for my formula. Total surface area is equal to, remember, that slant height, which we already had, it's 25, times the perimeter of the base, which was the 14 times 4, so 56, divided by 2. And then in the end, we add it to the area of our base, which is 196. If I was just asking for the total surface area, you could go ahead and plug all of this into a calculator and it would give you one number back. But because I'm looking for the lateral and total, I want to take that next step so that I can find the lateral area as well. Remember, in our formula though, this first part is what the lateral area is. So I'm going to go ahead and simplify this left side. I'm going to do 25 times 56. That ends up giving me 1400, and then I divide it by 2 to get 700. So when I simplify, my formula looks like 700 plus 196. So remember, that first part is our lateral. So I now know that my lateral area is equal to 700. And then to find my total, I'm going to take 700 and add 196 to it. I'm going to carry out that formula. And I find that my total is 896. So just coming up here to clarify, I found out just now that my lateral area is 700. And for units, it'd be centimeters squared. And my total surface area is 896 centimeters squared. Alright, so example 2, I ask you again to find the lateral area and total surface area of a square pyramid with a base edge length of 6 feet and a slant height of 10 feet. The last one I showed you how to find both of them from one formula. Just so you can see, I'm going to go ahead and use both formulas in this example. So I'm going to need the lateral formula where it is LP divided by 2. And then my total surface area is LP divided by 2. And then we add in that capital B, that area of the base. So again, I'm going to go ahead and draw my base. I gave you another square here, so I know all 4 side lengths are the same. And I give you that the side length or the edge length is 6 feet. So I'm going to go ahead and label all 4 of them with 6. I also tell you that the slant height is 10. And in our formula, remember, slant height is the L. So I know my L is equal to 10. For the formula on the left, I already have L for my lateral. I have the slant height, and I need the P, the perimeter. There are 4 sides. Each side is 6 feet long. I do 4 times 6, and I find my perimeter to be 24. So plugging what I have into the lateral formula, I know my slant height is 10, so that goes in for the L. My perimeter is 24, goes in for P, and I'm going to divide by 2. 10 times 24, it gives me 240 divided by 2, leaves me with a lateral area of 120. So now coming over to my total, I already know this first part. I know my lateral, my L times P divided by 2 is 120. So I don't need to do that again. But I do need to find what the area of my base is. This is a square, so remember it's length times width. In this case, all the side lengths are the same. So 6 times 6, it equals 36 in the end. So your total surface area is 120 plus 36, which ends up being 156 feet squared. Same thing with your lateral. Alright, so example 1 and 2, I gave you kind of word examples. In example 3, I'm giving you the actual diagram. So you first need to decide what kind of pyramid this is. So when we look at the base, we have right angles. And I tell you that 2 of the side lengths are 6. So that tells me that they are the same. All 4 are the same. So we have a square pyramid. Now all I'm asking for here is the lateral area. So L equals slant height times perimeter of the base divided by 2. I know my slant height is right here. This is a 7.6. It's perpendicular to one edge of the base, and that's how you know it's a slant height. So I need to go ahead and find my perimeter of the base since I'm already given my slant height. So remember, your perimeter is equal to the side length, which is 6. And since this is a regular polygon, regular shape, regular base, I'm going to multiply it by the number of sides. There are 4. So 6 times 4 gives me 24. I can now go plug everything into my formula. My slant height is 7.6 times my perimeter of my base is 24 divided by 2. I'm going to go ahead and plug that into the calculator. 7.6 times 24 gives you 182.4. And your last step is to divide that by 2 to find your lateral area is 91.2 miles squared. So example 4, again, I have a diagram shown to you. I tell you I want the lateral, so I'm going to take the slant height, multiply it by the perimeter of the base, and divide by 2. When I come in and I look at my base, it is a triangle. And I already give you 2 of these sides right here of the triangle. And if you notice, this arrow is leading in, tells you the third side is 6 inches. So I do have a triangle with all 3 equal sides, which means I have an equilateral triangle. On this diagram, though, I have 2 heights outlined. In order to figure out which one is the slant height, I'm going to go ahead and color in my base. And I'm looking at the height that starts at the tip or the vertex of the pyramid and is perpendicular to a side of the base. And that happens to be this 10.1 inches. It's not this 5.2. This 5.2 is actually the height of the base. So if we were finding the area of the base, we would need the 5.2. But since we aren't, since that's in total surface area and we're looking for lateral, we need the 10.1. So my slant height here is 10.1. I need to find my perimeter of the base. They're 6 inches long each side times the number of sides, which is 3. So 6 times 3 gives me 18. So I'm going to take that 10.1. I'm going to multiply it by 18 and divide by 2. In my calculator, 10.1 times 18 leaves me with 181.8 divided by 2 gives me 90.9. So my lateral area is 90.9 inches squared. So example 5, I want to find the total surface area, and to do that I first need to look at my pyramid. I need to determine what kind of pyramid this is. There are 6 sides that are all the same length because of these tick marks. So I know that this is a hexagonal pyramid. So my formula for total surface area, remember, is that slant height times the perimeter divided by 2 plus the area of the base. We'll come back to the area of the base, but we're going to do the first part. So I know that my slant height here is 12.2. I need to find that perimeter of the base. I know there are 6 sides because remember it's a hexagonal pyramid. And I know that each side length is 6 kilometers. So 6 times 6 gives me 36. So 12.2 times 36 divided by 2 is going to be that first part. If I was looking for lateral, this would be what the lateral area is. So when I plug in 12.2 times 36, I end up with 439.2 divided by 2. When I divide that by 2, I end up with 219.6. So what I need to find now is the area of the base. And when I look at this, I know all side lengths are the same. I don't have like a formula for just a hexagon, but I do have a formula for a regular polygon. Remember, the area for a regular polygon, so I'm going to do the capital B, is equal to the apothem times the perimeter of the base, or perimeter of the shape here, divided by 2. When I look at this, I know my apothem is this 5.2. It starts at the center of the shape and is perpendicular to one of the sides. So 5.2 times, I already found my perimeter, 36, divided by 2. So in my calculator, 5.2 times 36 is going to give me 187.2. Remember, you still need to divide that by 2, and I end up with 93.6 as the area for that base for that hexagon. So I'm going to come back over to my total surface area formula, 219.6 plus the area of the base, which was 93.6. That's your last step. You just need to plug it into your calculator now and get your final answer. Your final answer for your total surface area should be 313.2. And this is kilometers squared. All right, and the last example we're going to do, example 6. I'm asking you again to find the total surface area. When I look over here at the base, I see that it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. So this pyramid has a base shape of a pentagon. And if you notice, all the shapes have the little tick marks, so it is a regular pentagon. All sides are the same length. So again, my formula for total surface area is the lateral area, so slant height times perimeter divided by 2, plus the area of the base. When I look at this figure, sometimes it is hard to find the slant height. You need to remember the slant height is never on the base. So when I look, I have either 7.6 or 11.8. Only one of those is not on the base, and that happens to be 11.8. The next thing I need to do is find that perimeter of the base. I know that each side length is 11 yards. I know it's a pentagon, so there are 5 sides. So 11 times 5 gives me 55. So I'm going to take my slant height, 11.8, multiply it by the perimeter, which I just found to be 55, and divide it by 2. When I do that, I end up with 649 divided by 2. And when I take that and divide it by 2 in my calculator, I end up with 324.5. But I still need to find that area of the base. And remember, the area of the base is a regular polygon. a regular pentagon, so apothem times the perimeter divided by 2. My apothem is that other measurement on the diagram, so 7.6 times my perimeter, which I already found to be 55, divided by 2. When I plug in 7.6 times 55, I end up with 418. And my last step to finalize the area of the base is to divide by 2, and that gives me 209. So when I come over to my total surface area, again, I have 324.5 plus, I now replace that B with 209. And your final step to find your entire total surface area is to add these together, and you should end up with 533.5, and that is yards squared. So because this is a new topic, you do have an assignment on Google Slides. I am going to start shortening the assignments after this week. I just think if you got it, you got it. If you don't, make sure you're in my tutorials. Make sure you are uploading pictures of your work with it as well, and it is your work. If I start catching you not turning in your work, I'm not going to give you a warning. I'm just giving you the 0. And when we do our next progress monitoring, you will not get the On Track to Mastery. So please let me know if you have any questions. Send me a text on Remind, an email, or a comment on Google Classroom.